Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2003 Winnebago Minnie Motorhome, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Front Mount Trailer Hitch. But before we get into that, let's just take a minute, check it out, and make sure it's going to work. Whenever you're over the road, you know, storage is precious, more or less. You know, you're trying to make do with what you got. And a lot of people overlook being able to keep things on the front of their RV when they're traveling. And having a hitch up here is really going to open up your opportunities. So, you know, what we see a lot of people do nowadays is flat towing. So they'll pull a vehicle behind the motorhome or another trailer with their car on it. And so that kind of takes up everything back there. But up here with a hitch, now you can carry your bikes around. You know, if you, you know, have some bikes for the family, you put a bike rack, or maybe a spare tire carrier. Or a good example, what our neighbor's doing here today, they have a scooter that they're going to be using. So they'll have a carrier up here where they can put their scooter or other goods, maybe a cooler, generator, things along those lines. The hitch is going to have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening, which is pretty much standard size. You know, a lot of different things are going to work with it. It's going to use the standard 5/8 pin and clip. One does not come included with it though. If you need one, not a big deal. You can grab it here at eTrailer. And a little bit further off to the sides, there are going to be some hooks on the hitch. If you need to use those for whatever reason, you know, if you need a tow or to pull something, those are always available to use. As far as the weight capacities go, it's going to have a 500-pound maximum gross tongue weight rating. So that's the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Kind of the standard capacity there, and a lot of different cargo carriers and bike racks and things will work with it. It's going to have a 5,000-pound gross trailer weight rating, which, you know, this probably isn't important to a lot of people, but the amount of weight pulling on it, so weight of your trailer, something you might have on it if you're going to be, you know, shuttling it around, moving it around in your yard or something. And then it also has a 9,000-pound line pull, and what that means, that's really targeted to use with like snow plows winches, things like that, where the vertical line pulls is pulling on it. So that information's there if you need it, but you know, for those of you using those different types of accessories and things, this is going to get the job done. Now we can grab a couple of measurements, and these will help you figure out what type of accessories will work. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 14.5 inches. So if you can find an accessory that has a slight rise in the shank, probably not a bad idea. But you know, it's high enough off the ground too that a straight one will work as well. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's about 6 inches. And you can use that to help figure out that if any folding type accessories you might have can be stored upright and not hit the front of the vehicle. Other than that though, you know, if you're trying to kind of open up and expand on your storage and what you can do with your vehicle, this is something you really can't go wrong with. As far as the installation goes, wasn't too bad. Everything's pretty easy to get to. You will have to enlarge a couple of holes in the frame, so definitely recommend having a sharp drill bit and some type of grinding bit that you can use. It'll really speed things up, but you know, that's really the most complicated part about it. You can do this on the ground as well, but if you'd like to see how it's done, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and install it together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our Ford. Now I did jack our vehicle up off the ground a little bit just to give us a little bit of extra space to work, and if you do that, make sure you're safe about it. You know, chalk the tires, use the appropriate equipment, but you know, I feel like this definitely can be done on the ground too. I'd just be a little bit tighter. But with that said, we're going to be working first off just right underneath the front of our vehicle. So right underneath, if you have this plastic flash guard, we're going to need to remove that. And so on each end of it, there's going to be a plastic push pin fastener that you need to pull out. So you can use a trim tool or a screwdriver and work underneath the head of it. And you're able to kind of pry it out. And I already took the other side out. So once you get that removed, or both of them rather, this should drop down and we can set it out of the way. If you look at the frame, we're going to have two attachment points that we're going to use to secure our hitch. We're going to have this elongated hole here, and then this small one closest to the front bumper. But we're going to have to enlarge this one, that way our bolt and hardware can actually pass through there. So I'll take my drill bit and get it opened up to the proper size. With that hole enlarged, now we can open up this one a little bit too. And that's because we're going to be using that as an access hole to get our hardware up in the frame. So our spacer block fits just fine, but the head of the bolt is too big to pass through there. So I'm going to come in with a grinding bit and open this up a little bit on each side, stopping every now and again until we get it just big enough for the bolt head to pass through. You could do this with a hand file, you know, probably take you some time. So if you had a power tool like this, it definitely helps speed things up. Just big enough to get the head of the bolt through there. You don't want to push it all the way up in place just yet. Just make sure it'll actually be able to go through there. And since we exposed some bare metal, I'm just going to take some spray paint, put a light coating on it to help protect against any rust. Take one of your fish wires, run that through that opening there, and you want it to come out of the hole that we enlarged. So a lot of times you'll have to reach up in there and help it out. Then you're going to put on a spacer block and then thread on carriage bolt. And you can feed the hardware one at a time up into the frame. And then drop it down. And I'm going to carefully remove this one. They only give you 2 fish wires, so be careful not to mess these up. So we'll unthread this one and then take another spacer block, another carriage bolt, and we're going to reverse fish wire this one. So we'll put the head of the bolt in first and then the spacer block, drop it down, and I think I'm going to move our pull wire to this bolt, being that it's a little bit tighter over here. I feel like it'd be beneficial to leave it on over here. That way if you go to put the hitch up and this bolt pushes up into the frame, you know it's not going to be stuck up there. So that's my thought. I'll just put that one right back on. Now with the help from Kevin here, we're going to take our pull wires, feed them through the corresponding holes in the hitch, and then we can raise this up into position. We'll hold it flat against the frame, and then you can take a flange nut, and we want to get at least one started on each side. That way the hitch will support itself. You can put the other flange nut on the other bolt and then come back with a 3/4 inch or 19mm socket and snug everything down. Once all the hardware is snug, don't forget to come back and torque it all down to the amount specified in the instructions. And that'll finish up our look at in our installation of the CURT front mounted trailer hitch on our 2003 Winnebago Minnie Motorhome.